Now, the form holds, but it's a little longer. So we get this yad anatta. Now, anatta is the negated form of atta, which we have to look up under attang. This is sort of like bhagava. Attang is a masculine singular noun. It can mean the self, as in, I did something myself, or certainly in Vedanta it has this more technical meaning of the Atman. So here we have what is not the self, or that which is not the self. Then we have to skip down here, dattabaṃ. Now, to be honest, I'm not sure if we've seen this form of the verb or not before. This is the future passive participle, and it's usually formed by adding this taba. So one thing about the future passive participle is that it expresses obligation. We should also point out that this dattabaṃ comes from a form of the verb we don't actually see in the present, dasati, which, like I said, it gets this little asterisk for the hypothetical, which would mean to see. So the point here, putting this together, that which is not the self should be seen. Dattabaṃ should be seen, this obligation. And then we can go back. We have a few words. We'll pick up the one right before it, samappaññāya. Now this is the instrumental case. This is a combination of sama and paññā with perfect wisdom, complete cognition, something like that. So should be seen with perfect wisdom. By the way, a small note, sama has a long A at the end, but we don't see the long A. That long A has either caused the P to be duplicated, or that duplication always happens, and this is sort of an interesting point, something to think about. Sometimes if you're trying to look at compounds, we almost always do not find in Pali a long vowel and then two consonants. So should be seen with perfect wisdom, and then evam etang, which would be evang etang if we broke them apart, just as, and yatha bhutang. Yatha bhutang might literally mean something like as naturally, but it can mean in truth or really. So putting all of this together, we can say that which is not the self should be seen with perfect wisdom as really or as in truth. And then what we have in the quotations here, netang mama, this is not mine. Nesohamasmi, I am not this. Namesohamasmi, this is not my true self. Netang is na plus etang. Etang is demonstrative pronoun, nominative singular, and na negates it. They come together as netang. Mama is the genitive singular of the personal pronoun ahang. Ahang would be the nominative, I. So this is another nominative or equational sentence. Not this, mine, or this is not mine. Now this next one is all run together, and we will have to, it's also nominal, we'll have to supply a form of the verb to be, nesohamasmi. So if we break this apart, we end up with na, eso, ahang, and asmi. Na, the negating particle. Eso is a demonstrative pronoun, this time masculine nominative singular. And then ahang is the personal pronoun we just mentioned, I, it's nominative singular. And asmi is the first person singular present active indicative of the verb to be, coming from the root us. The third person singular present active would be ati. Namesohamasmi. Again, the negating particle. Meso is me plus eso. Eso, again, nominative singular masculine demonstrative pronoun. Me is the short form of this personal pronoun from ahang. It can be genitive, dative, instrumental, or ablative, and it must be enclitic, as it is here following the na. I think this aso is what was mentioned before, nesohamasmi. Literally, we didn't really go through that. Literally, not this, I am not this. And then this is not atta. This is not the self of me. This is not my self, my true self. Now, atta has a long a at the end. I don't always point this out, but if it didn't have a long a, it would be lengthened here because it's followed by this t. The t will cause a preceding vowel to become lengthened if it's not already. And I think that's because it's really it-t. So now to conclude this portion of the sutta, evam etang yata bhutang samapanyaya passato chittang virajjati vimucchati anupadaya asavehi. So to see what's going on grammatically, let's go to the subject, which is chittang, mind or heart. And possibly, as we noted in the 7th book of the Hermetica, when we came across the Greek word kardia, we might think of chittang as the core of our being. It's not simply the mind or the heart, it's both thought and emotion. So this chittang, which is neuter nominative singular, is the subject of virajjati, which means to be free of passion or to become detached. And it is also the subject of vimucchati, to be released, to be emancipated, to be free. Now let's go back and pick up the mind, passato, of one who sees. This is a participle from passati, to see. Specifically, this is genitive or dative, masculine singular. So the mind of one who sees, and then we've encountered these three words before, evam etang yata bhutang samapanyaya. The mind of the one who sees like this, truly with complete wisdom, becomes detached and becomes emancipated, becomes liberated. Now this detachment from the world is a characteristic of the third eye opening, the third eye chakra, the ajna chakra. Now the interesting thing about the chakras is that if you do them in order, the heart chakra would open first. And I think also in Buddhist practice, we would be extending metta to every being in every part of samsara. So when this detachment comes, it isn't a detachment from beings. It's not a detachment from desiring happiness for all beings. It's detachment from that which keeps us bound to samsara. So the emancipation is an awakening. And this last little bit, we actually could translate first. This anupadaya looks like it might be some kind of dative case, but it's actually a negated absolutive from upadiyati. So the absolutive of that verb would be upadaya, and then negated anupadaya, not having taken up, not having taken hold of. And then here, asavehi, which is the masculine plural instrumental of asava. Now, asava here, especially in the plural, is a technical term, but the original meaning is some sort of intoxicating secretion from a tree or flower. So it's a technical term for those things which intoxicate the mind. And there's a standard list of 4. Kam asava, which is sensuality. Bhav asava, rebirth, the desire for life, for existence. Dit asava, speculation or wrong view. And avij asava, ignorance. So these 4 things can intoxicate, pollute, weigh down our mind. Again, if we go, this is outside of the scope of Buddhism, but in the Hermetica Book 7, it is mentioned how our sense faculties are blocked up with a lot of matter and keep us from seeing what we should be seeing and hearing what we should be hearing about. I think this is similar here. Our minds are intoxicated and not functioning properly.